Welcome, welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you guys are here joining us. Feel free to turn your cameras on. We'd love for you guys to stay on mute, but if you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand because we always invite questions and love questions. But my name is Corrine Heck. As you know, I'm the founder and CEO of Details Flower Software. And today we have a very special guest, and I'd like to say not just a guest, but a friend, Calvert Crary. Did I say that right? Crary, I think is what it is.
Like Americans say it. It's Scottish. It's Crary.
Oh, well, that's like, I'll have to practice that. Oh my gosh. You sound like my husband now. He always enjoys like using those accents. But we're so excited to have you here with the fellow Details so that we can learn more about FlowerSchool New York and what you're doing to teach new and old florists some kind of new methodology. And also you have another location, but I was so fortunate this summer to come and spend a few days with you guys, which I'm sure we'll get to. But welcome, Cal, to Details. So yay, thank you.
Nice to be here, guys. Thanks for coming and spending your Tuesday afternoon with us.
Yes.
These conversations with Corrine are so enjoyable. We, as though we're so far apart, she's in Florida and I'm in New York. When we talk about the flower business, we often have the same anecdotes because we've done so much of this stuff that there can be an easy way and a hard way. And before I had learned anything about flowers, I was doing everything the hard way. And it was, while I was having fun, it wasn't that much fun, overworking and underpaid. But so when we had the opportunity to meet with Corrine and talk about Details and the software it offers, it was just a perfect match for what we're doing here at FlowerSchool, both in New York and LA. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was really, it has always been a dream of mine to really work with people as they're getting into the industry really early on, because after tried and true of doing the business like 20 years, yes, there's the wrong way to do everything. And it's like once you kind of adopt some processes or learn like some easier methods, whether it's through trial and error or taking classes, I feel like that education just takes you that much further. So I'm so happy to have you here. Any chance you want to give a little background about you know, where you are, or, you know, just a little
How
bit.
I got into the industry?
Yeah, that's a fun question.
Okay, so you guys are now seeing us at the new FlowerSchool. When I took over FlowerSchool in 2010, it was a one-room, tiny little flower shop in Tudor City, which was originally the studio of Michael George, who was one of New York's top florists at the time. And when I say this place was small, it didn't even have a bathroom. The bathroom was like down the stairs, across the hall. I mean, talk about ADA compliant, like not even close. And man, we had no hot water. So it was just one faucet with cold water, and that was it. And some of the most well-known florists have worked out of the shop and had nothing. And it kind of opened my eyes to, you know, you don't need anything except a lot of inspiration and a lot of creativity to be good at this business. So we took it over, and we found, when I first started, the entire business model of the school was to make a masterpiece with a master florist. Now, who's a master florist? A lot of people, I think that they are master florists, and they might not be wrong, but I think that at FlowerSchool, we had a very distinct hierarchy of people who were truly masters. And I think that if you see somebody, a dancer, a painter, you'll have to excuse us because a lot of students are coming and going for class right now. But as Juan Villanueva is here, by the way, Villanueva Designs, he's excellent, and he's teaching a program for us. But I think that with a lot of interest, like a lot of important trades, a lot of crafts, even plumbing or dancing or painting, sculpture, cooking. These are apprenticeship crafts. These are crafts where you can get a certain amount of skill at school, but the rest you really have to learn in a real life setting. So when I was working at the school, the master classes were fine. People enjoyed them. They got a flower arrangement and then they took it home and they enjoyed it. People love flowers. That's a very simple thing. However, when it came to the school, people were asking for professional training, of which the person who was running the school at the time had zero experience in flowers and couldn't train anyone how to do it. So I took over the school from her, and we started building some actual programs to get people accustomed to and ready for working as professional florists in New York City. But now it's been all over the world, because we have people starting companies in Japan, people starting companies in China, people starting companies in Africa, all points of Europe, even in Amsterdam. We had a young boy come from Amsterdam to New York because he didn't want to do Dutch flowers. He wanted to do it like New Yorkers do flowers. So Rutger Mueller, he's still there. His company is still going. So anyway, doing this type of professional training is sort of where the school has accelerated to. One of our best accolades, in my opinion, to date, is that 50% of the people who do our program get offered jobs at a lot of the internship sites they go to, which we set up at our affiliates. So now when I tour the flower shops in New York, every place I go, there's 1 or 2 flower school alums working there, or running the show, or owning the shop. Now, those are the type of accolades as an institution like Flower School that really satisfy us. It's kind of what drives us.
Yeah, well, it's all about putting florists to work. And so I think when you can go from teaching them with very little skill sets to where they can walk into some of these studios that are doing massive installations and so forth, just to get that hands-on experience in one of the busiest cities in America, I feel like is a lot of it. So tell me, I think you told me this before, you have to have a license in New York to work at a flower school. And I know that's not, or to work at a flower shop. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, so it's not, I mean, it's just like being a chef. You don't need to go to cooking school to be a chef. You get a lot of the foundational skills. But one of the things that Flower School offers that a lot of other schools are not allowed to offer is that we also do business and career training. So in New York, you can teach art classes all day long. The second you put a number in front of something, as far as like a business, the state requires that your school be licensed as a whole, and the teacher teaching the program has shown enough success doing what they're teaching to make it a real class. And then you have to write a curriculum that the state of New York in the business department approves as this is a valid way of learning how to do this trade. So only licensed schools are allowed to teach career development and business training classes. Wow. But we have lots of classes at Flower School because, you know, it's not all about business, although it certainly does help.
No, I think it's the most important part of it, but at the same point.
we have recreation programs, we have workshops. We have our floral design program, which is our 6-week program. And then we have our masterclass series, which is also a recreation program. So we have recreation and occupational programs. But the really, really fun ones where we get to travel, where we get to meet unique people, and we get to go places, those are our recreation programs, which are also very, very popular.
Well, I just didn't know. So I actually took a trip there and I helped teach 3 days class. My husband joined me. So it was our first trip together to New York City. So thank you for your hospitality. And I have to say that you really, really blew my mind. I really was not knowing quite what to expect when I got to your flower school, but it was so well put together. I thought the space was just beautiful. If I was a student, I would really feel like I was getting, you know, a really A-level treatment as far as like the breakdown of how that was going. And your space is just so big right there in the heart of the city. Like, I can't even believe your good fortune is what you have there. So would you mind like walking us through or just telling us about like the layout and why you picked where the school is located?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think that we're a trade school, you know, so it's really important for us to be close to the trade. So we're right here on 28th Street. Right in the flower market. One of the things that we teach here at Flower School, and it's a tenet of the program, is workflow. How do you get the job done on time, on budget, and well? And as you know, Corrine, details is a huge part of that. So we're right in the flower market so that we can be there with the florists as we do stuff. We start our program with technical training. What is technical training? It's learning how to use the equipment. You'd be surprised how many florists I see out there don't know how to use a clipper. They don't know how to use a knife. They don't know the basic things. And these are not new skills. These are old skills. So we start with the technical training, and as the program evolves, we become designers, we become florists. And the program that Corrine is mentioning is called our Wedding Design Series. And we have adopted detail software to show students on how technology and current technology can help them organize their events. And I think that Corrine has done an amazing job hitting on all of the important parts of doing an event, planning an event, and planning a wedding proposal so that your proposals look as professional or more professional than the competition. And then, because the thing is, it's the workflow. That's what I was trying to get to. When you do a details software proposal, it forces you into the same workflow that you need in order to be successful. It forces you into writing the recipes properly. It identifies if you're over ordering. It tells you what price you should be paying, so you don't overpay for things. Because if the flour is twice as much, you can only get half as many. So it really helps with the budget process. It helps with the client interface. They can see that you're a professional, and the students have to do it all the way through from beginning to end, including purchasing the flowers and making a mock-up, adding the tablecloth, adding the linens, adding the plates, the chargers, and everything. And you can actually do it all in details and organize the entire event. And it spits out these beautiful little to-do lists at the end. So I think that is what makes us the most happy about being where we are right now.
Yeah, I enjoyed the entire experience, like as the kind of like the Simon Cowell, or I might've been Paula a little bit of the time critiquing some people, but I just really enjoyed the process because you have seen them develop their skill set. I think that was the 6th or so week in the class. So they actually started at the beginning at the curriculum and did all these other steps along the way. And this was kind of like the big finale, is actually putting their skills to test, creating an event. And then you gave them, I think, $100 budget to create one bouquet, one centerpiece, one boutonniere, and then they had to go down to the market and buy it. So it was really a really great field trip, I thought, for me especially, because I had never in my life been to the New York flower market. As long as I've been in this business, of course I've been to my wholesalers, but I just think that there was something really like special about the actual experience of walking the streets of New York and like seeing all the businesses all peddling their wares like out there on the street and like so busy. And thank you for all those introductions too. If you ever want to see the flower market, you need to go with Cal, because he knows everybody on the street.
It's the real thing. I mean, if you're connected in the flower business, you're connected in the flower business. I mean, it's a little bit old school in the sense that, if you have a good relationship with a wholesaler, they're going to give you the best product and they're going to give you the best price. So you have to be there. You can't just call it in. That never works.
Yeah, I was most struck too by some of the most fabulous, and I didn't even know who these people were. Like there'd be like amazing designers that are doing like the Met Gala flowers or something, or flowers at these big monstrous museums in New York City. And they're all like on a first name basis with Cal, and like they're setting up or pulling flowers for Katie Couric's daughter's wedding. I think we bumped into that florist, and it was just really like everyone was descended on the same place at the same time. I think it was like a Wednesday morning buying their flowers for that week.
Yeah, the reason why they know me, and they're smart to do so, is because we have so many graduates from flower school who are eager to get into the business. And as you can tell right now, I think that this is common knowledge, is that a lot of companies are having trouble hiring people.
Absolutely.
Where do you go to find skilled labor? Well, I've told them before, and I'll tell them again, you go to flower school.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was really nice. And I thought there were so many accomplished students that just had a natural talent. They just needed a little bit of direction and a little bit of confidence. So, it's so hard to walk in knowing that you could do it, but just had never had any training. And the moment they get that bit of training, just kind of gives them that cutting edge to where they know that they have the confidence to go in there and start performing. But I think that that's where it's really nice to get your feet wet and say, yeah, that's not the way you do it. This is how you do it. And hey, that looks really great. But guess what? If you did it this way, that's even a better way to do it. So it was really nice to see that. And I feel like a lot of the students probably got hired from that session.
They did. It was the highest hiring. I think there was like 65% of the students got hired right away.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. It's amazing. So how many alumni are there currently in Flower School? You've been doing this since 2010, I think you said.
Yeah, so we've been doing it in 2010. We got our career development license in 2016, I think. And I think that every year we have maxed out on around 75 students for the year. So 75 times 4, we're talking 300 students now out there. Okay. World, and I think that it's around 25% of them are still employed. And I think that around 20 to 50% of the other 20 to 50% are actually running their own business right now.
Yeah, and I think that that's really, really interesting there. And we always say, you know, if you know details, and which I appreciate you teaching that to your students, but that is a skill set that you can really take with you across the country. If you say you finish up at Flower School, New York, and you want to move to Denver, like that is a definite skill set, even on the business side, to not only know how to design, but if you can help them in their business practices, I think that those are definitely good.
Yeah, it makes you a better hire. I mean, in my opinion, I keep telling people to put detail software at the top of their software abilities on their resumes. Like a lot of these older school florists in New York, they are not tech savvy. They do everything with pencil and paper. You can imagine how many errors they make. They make tons of errors. Yeah. This way, an owner of the business can check in on each one of their staff to make sure that the proposals are being written correctly. They can proofread them and okay them, all from the comfort of their own home if they'd like. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a huge game changer as far as the industry is concerned. And being able to bring that knowledge to a company and having confidence doing it, I think is a big resume builder. So we're psyched.
On just another tangent on Flower School New York. So I know, just because I've been to your space, you also rent this space out because all of your tables are on wheels. And so I just kind of want to put this out there. If there's anybody who watching who they might like to host an event in New York City or do some kind of floral event, I don't know if you would open that up to our people, but you have not only, I think, like 3,500 square feet of your school. I could be wrong on the square footage, I apologize, but you have an amazing rooftop that was under construction about 2 months ago. And it is in the center of like all of New York City, I have to say. And you have like the One World Trade Center on one side, you have the Empire State, and just, you have a really great spot there, I have to say. I was super.
Yeah, we're going to be hosting a lot of events. I can give you I can tell some secrets.
Okay.
Ingrid Corrine is coming out with a new book from Tin Can Studio, the one who did Katie Couric's daughter's wedding. Oh, she's doing her book launch party here. We have a bunch of other events and dinners coming up at Flower School to show off the space. If you're in New York, it's a hot ticket. You should definitely come and check it out because we have great designers showing. Stephen Orr is going to be here. And which leads me to the next part, is that we are actually doing a whole food program at Flower School. So all of our food now is going to be vegetable and herbal based and floral based. And it's going to also have sort of a wellness medicinal quality. And I'm just going to give a quick shout out to our buddy, Stephen Orr. He wrote a book here. It's called The New American Herbal. What he has done is made a textbook of every herb that grows in the United States, whether it's native or it's an import, and also tracing back a little of the lineage about what culture it comes from. He also says how to grow it and what the medicinal properties are. And you can see things like this. It's just all straight vegetables, which are all straight herbs, which is amazing. So we're doing a whole bunch of both food and cocktail programs based on this. And so if you're in New York, it's a really fun thing to do. So we hope to see you at this new space, having a cocktail or a mocktail, because it doesn't have to have alcohol in it.
Yeah, well, you know, I love that. Well, you did do a really nice presentation, and we invited some of our detailers that were in the area around, and it was just like, thank you for opening it up. I really had a grand, beautiful time. So how do you incorporate the newest trends into your curriculum? I know you work with a lot of like amazing designers. How do you decide what needs to be taught? Or
Yeah, it's really an interesting part because as you can see behind me, I think that florals that are painted or preserved are incredibly popular right now. And as you probably can imagine, preserving flowers is extremely toxic.
Okay.
Luckily for us, there's a lot of flowers and plants and leaves and stuff that dry very, very well, and they take paint. So the conventional way is just to take something and spray paint it, which I think is persona non grata. I think it's kind of gross. But now what we have now, we're doing our installation program this week, we're using all of our dried botanicals. And we have a paint sprayer that you can buy at the Home Depot. It's $100. You can put in any color, low or no VOC free paint, and you can just spray it on your foliages. And you can do, you can see I have some white ones over here with a little tint, and I have some pink ones over here with a little tint. But as you can see, this is an exciting new thing that's happening in flowers. And I think that teaching people the best methods that are not toxic and not expensive and good for the environment is key, because I think that all of us in the flower business or in the agriculture business want to kind of protect the earth a little bit. So we find the trends, we consult all of our florists who we're working with on what the best, cleanest process is, and then we teach that one process at the school.
Yeah, wonderful. So you have not only FlowerSchool New York, but you have a second location in FlowerSchool LA. So is that, I would imagine that's probably near the LA flower market, or?
Well, it's, when I went to LA, I was thinking about opening a school there, and I went to downtown LA, which a lot of people, when they think of California, think of Los Angeles, they do not think of downtown LA. But when I got there, I immediately thought New York City. They have nice, tall, old buildings, beautiful architecture. Streets are incredibly walkable. It's friendly. It's safe. I figured, this is just like New York City. I should open a school here. And then we just walked right into a lease. And then I figured, all right, let's go ahead and do it. So now we have an amazing designer out in LA who's running the FlowerSchool program, the license program we have in New York. You don't need a license in LA to run that. And then we have also our masterclass series. We have people like Jean Pascal is going to be on it. We have the boy who cried flowers, and just a lot of great LA-based talent doing the masterclass series in LA. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I feel like you need representation on both coasts, and if you can't hit up FlowerSchool New York, then you can go to FlowerSchool LA. But I love, is the space about the similar layout as what you have in New York, or?
Well, I would say it's more of a starter space. It was a 5-year lease. Those of you who are business savvy get this. There's a trajectory for every lease and how you're going to do. And, we have an opportunity to extend the lease after 5 years, which comes up next year. But I think that what we're going to end up doing is moving to a new location, because now that we have a full mixology program and cocktail design program, we're going to need a bar, a larger space with a bar in order to run the program. So we're looking actually at restaurants that may have gone out of business due to COVID, and then rework them into the flower school and mixology school.
Well, and I love that you do have that diversification, because I think it's so important as business owners to not only have our regular stream of revenue, but always see where you can be expanding on what you're doing or what can you elevate. And with you there in New York City, I mean, I was like, wow, this is a great space. If you don't have classes, you could rent this out. And that's exactly how you're capitalizing on that primo spot there in the city. So I really commend you on that forward thinking. And I think that the mixology is really important, especially if you're mixing in floral cocktails. Let's make those the next trendy drink. Everybody needs to have.
I know, exactly. No, yeah, it's really fun. I mean, we're going to probably rename the school eventually. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is because it's a secret, but I think that we do a lot of living arts type stuff, and I think that it's important to enjoy our lives, and do things that we love. And I think that doing flowers is just one of those amazing things that we love. And I think that making really nice drinks is another one. I mean, it doesn't have to have alcohol, totally medicinal. I found out from this book, by the way, that you can make a really nice tincture elixir from eucalyptus, which has like a really nice menthol taste. Because if you eat it, it's poisonous, but there's a way of doing it that makes it not poisonous. And like sometimes when I smell eucalyptus, I kind of would like to drink it. And I'm going to see if I can make that happen.
Well, I've really been recently into elderflower liqueur, and I always think that that's a nice touch, which I got from all my travels through New York City. You know, they were handing me champagne with Saint Germain and a little slice of grapefruit. And I thought, I'm never coming back to Florida again. Although I do have to say, when I did check the real estate prices in New York, because Greg and I left there thinking we are going to have an apartment here in the city. We're going to be here all the time. And I don't think I can afford to live there. It's really kind of like just mind boggling how real estate is there. So
I mean, the fact that, most people live in shoe boxes and they're quite happy with them.
Yeah, it is. Tiny living's the way to go. And that's what struck me most is you did take me around to a few different florists that you have relationships with, where you had a lot of people that were interning. And I was struck by how small some of their florist studios were there on the street. And I thought, how do they produce these incredible events out of this tiny spot? And I do realize it's a lot of on-site design, but you have to really be a master Tetris for loading your
I mean, there's pre-pro, there's pre-production that you do in advance, and then there's the actual production, which has to be thought out and well done, and then there has to be the delivery and installation, which also has to be thought out and well done. So there's many parts to it.
Yeah, many markets, and I applaud everybody that's in the city, because there's nowhere else I think I would rather be as a business person, but then so daunting to start a business in such a giant city that is, pretty much like a machine. So I really appreciate that time. So do you travel between your two locations very often?
I do. I think that's one of the things that made me a good executive director of the school, is the same thing I think that made me a good business owner and floral design, floral company owner, is that I have to do a lot of training. I always would tell my staff when they first started at the flower shops that I'm not selling what I can do. I'm only selling what I can get you to do, because I can't make flower arrangements. I don't have time. In fact, I'm not even that great at it. I mean, I'm good. I can do things quickly and well, but I mean, I'm not brilliant by any means. I think the thing that really, what I'm good at is getting people to kind of stop going all over the place and focus in on the important aspects of each design. If it's the roses, if it's the gardenias, if it's the foliage, whatever it is, focus in on that and really make that sing, and then go through it. So now when it comes to the training portion of what we do, training the teachers to step back and have the same philosophy is one of the bigger challenges. Because I think that if you guys have been doing flowers, or this is not just unique to flowers, it's unique to anything, is that when you see somebody struggling, you just say, let me just do it. I'll just get it done, and then you go do something else. And I think that there's, in the flower business, people are like, I'll just finish it, leave me alone. But actually, you can't. It's like what they say, you can get further together, even though faster alone. So you have to get everybody on board with the production in order for it to go well. So I go to LA probably once every other month to make sure that the training is sticking, to make sure the staff feels supported, and plus the weather is just amazing. So
yeah, it's really amazing over there. I'm like, do you stay in Malibu? I'm not sure.
no, I stay downtown. That's where I feel most comfortable.
Oh yeah, I imagine you live in Brooklyn, right? So you're just used to commuting in the city. I feel like you're in the heart of Beast there. So how do you find the partners? Like, if anybody is watching this that might want to be one of your, that might want to take in some of your interns, or, once they finish their curriculum, how would they go about either being like one of your companies?
That's easy. I mean, being what we call that program is, we call it our affiliate program. That means that you are affiliated with FlowerSchool. We send you interns, and then you teach them. And so that's the relationship right there. Now, every business, whether it's a flower business or not, needs to have a training program. Training programs are key. Every company has one. There's a certain onboarding, you have to wait a couple of weeks in order for the person to be right. So, it's a process. So what we tell the affiliate companies is that this is an opportunity to try out your training program. And the first thing they usually say is, we don't have a training program. I say, well, I think you're going to need one if you're going to be doing work at a high level. And now all of the affiliates we're working with, now they understand and they have a training program and they know how to kind of get from A to B and what to do. Now, in order to have an internship, it's important that the students learn things that they are not learning at FlowerSchool. So we are teaching a lot of technical skills. We want our affiliates to show the students how these skills apply. So what we usually do is offer up a job description for the intern to the affiliate. For example, you come in the morning, you sweep the floor, you wipe down the tables, you change the water on the flowers, and then you set them out on the table. You wash the vases, you make 5 delivery boxes, you take a lunch. You know what I mean? It's very specific. And I think that a lot of the affiliate programs have really enjoyed that because they didn't have a training program. Now, in order to become an affiliate, you have to want to have a training program, and then you have to accept the interns when they are ready.
Okay. Yeah. And are they paid internships, or is it like,
There are unpaid internships. Now, I know in New York City, and I think in a lot of places, they've kind of cracked down on internships because a lot of people are just saying, well, I have an internship. And it's like, they get somebody to go get them coffee. That's not an internship. An internship is a training program. You have to learn something. Because we are a licensed school, to have a training program from us means that you are not violating any laws because it's not just me backing you up, it's the New York State Department of Education backing you up, and they have significant lawyers and clout. So
yeah. Have you thought of having any other schools in any other major markets, like potentially Dallas or Miami or Chicago? Like what's on your radar there as far as that goes? Because I know
Miami's our next one. I think that once we get our cocktail and food program rolling, which is, I'm telling you, it's awesome. It is so awesome. But once we get those rolling, I think that we'll find some investors and move into some more cities,
Yeah. Well, I know food because you took us to a fabulous restaurant for dinner one night. And I have to say, it was at what is it? The Central Perk, I guess, the Little Owl. Yeah, the Central Perk. If anybody's a fan of Friends, he took me to that place, and there's now like a really wonderful bistro there that is just amazing. But we got to sit out and have dinner there, so that was
fun. We were also, it was hot as could be in New York, and then all of a sudden a huge downpour came. Remember? And we got like 8 inches of rain in 1 hour. It was really epic.
It was quite a memorable experience, I have to say. It was like it was just perfect. It was the perfect New York moment. So when most of the people go through the program, either they're going to start working as an intern somewhere, or they're going to start their own business. But we've had a lot of interest, and it's actually our topic of the month is education and freelancing. So a lot of people that go through the program start freelancing for companies. And I can find that's very valuable in New York City, especially if you're not wanting a full-time employee. Maybe you just have seasonal work. Can you explain like some of that process, or if there's any kind of, anything
we try to get freelancers for people. I think that one of the problems, I don't think that I'm alone here. A lot of problems with freelancers is that they come on for a week when you need them, and they don't know anything. And then you have to train them to what you're doing. And then at the end of the week, they're gone, and all you've done is just train somebody. And I can see that being exhausting. I know, because that's what happened to me. It's exhausting training someone all the time. So I would first like to point out that when we are when we're recommending people for freelancing, it's more of an internship training basis, because we really think that having a full-time staff member who knows what they're doing is way better. That being said, every once in a while, there's a monster installation job and you need people there. So we have a list of people when we send out for those types of events. And we think that it's only worth it if it's a really great opportunity, not something boring that is just, you're going to be stuck, cleaning Oasis all day or something like that. We try to find a really unique opportunity, and we will share that with our group here in New York City and in LA.
Yeah. Are there any red flags that companies should look out for when they're hiring like a freelancer? Like, do you have, how would you recommend that they find like a skill set if you're looking for someone to make boutonnieres? How do you qualify your freelancers, I guess?
Usually before I hire any freelancers, I make them come in for an interview. They don't just get hired and expected to show up. I also expect them to show up on time, not an hour early, not an hour late, on time. If you're early, great, sit outside and wait because I'm not ready to receive you. And then when you come in, it'll be very simple. Hey, can you make me a $75 arrangement? You can take it home, but can you make it for me? Because I just want to see how your skills are. And usually people who get it will be like, excellent. And they'll grab their knife, they'll grab a vase. The first thing they'll ask is, do you have a price list? Because if you don't have a price list, how do you know what the prices are? How can you make a $75 bouquet? It's sort of a trick question. And then they go and they can make it in 5-10 minutes. And then they're happy about it. They look at it. Isn't this amazing? And then if you have a freelancer who comes in, so that's the good freelancer. And you have to trial everyone.
Yeah.
The other freelancers who come in say, hey, can you make a flower arrangement? And they go and they just takes them a half hour. They take things out, they put them in, they're not sure. You can tell within 5 minutes whether they know what they're doing or not. And then they make it and they're like, well, I would pay $70 for this. And you go, interesting. Don't call us, we'll call you.
Yeah. Anything that you could give anybody as the competitive edge is what they should do when they're freelancing? Obviously you gave a few points there, but is there anything that will make you say, definitely need to have this person on my team?
Well, I think a good attitude is always good. We do follow at FlowerSchool, we follow the ABCs. Always be cleaning. So, sweep this up, sweep that up. I mean, cleaning is so important because it's a messy business and it's hard to create when everything is messy. When everything is nice and clean and you have a perfect workstation and perfect flowers and perfect music and, perfect everything, you can really create art. If everything is messy, it's a problem from the outset. Your flowers are going to be messy. Everything is going to be messy. So always be cleaning. I think number two, knowing the expectations. And I think that's either working somewhere, you'll understand what an expectation is being a florist, or if you go to flower school, you'll have a good expectation of what you're supposed to be doing, or both. Have some experience and go to flower school. A lot of times people they put flower school on their resume and people look at them and go, oh, you went to flower school? What'd you learn? And it's like, well, we learn skills, and then they pull out their knife and they make a beautiful flower arrangement in 5 minutes. They're like, oh, you did learn something. Sometimes we get interns we send just like for a one-off event or something. We sent someone to the Four Seasons the other day. They were like, can you come work here?
Yeah, well, those are, when you find a gem, that you need to grab them up quickly because they're going to be gone or someone's going to find them.
We only graduate gems here.
Yeah, it's true. So what are some essential tools freelancers will need to thrive in the industry?
Essential tools. Well, I think that freelancers, so this is strictly florist skills. So this doesn't have to do with details. A good hire, you want to have detailed software experience. You want them to know how to order flowers. You want them to know where to get stuff. So in order to be a competitive freelancer, you have to be available. You have to work quickly, which is often not as much fun as, being a manager of freelancers. And then you have to understand different styles. I know that the garden style is very popular and, people like garden styles, but it can be very messy if you don't know what you're doing. And so I think that really mastering modern styles, contemporary styles, garden styles, party styles, and really knowing how to execute on lots of different styles will make you more valuable in the marketplace as a whole.
Do you have any helpful community sites? working on a freelancer survey actually, because we're like, how many of our customers will work with other companies during their off season or vice versa? Or how do you find like freelancers? So it's something we're going to put out soon as far as like a survey, but any tips there on how you can get a good freelancing gig?
I gotta say, finding good freelancers has always been difficult for me because the people who are really good, they only work with one or two designers and they just wait for those designers to call them. And they want to keep their schedule open because they want to make sure that when that designer calls, that they're good. So I usually end up only getting mid-range to low-end designers when I try to find a freelancer, which is always frustrating, which made me turn to, I don't want to hire freelancers anymore. I'll just hire a good staff member and they'll do all the freelance that I need. You know what I mean? So, but where do you go? I think that in the flower business, it's still word of mouth.
Yeah,
So
it really is.
a freelance, like, you know, I have some kids at home and we have a nanny, and the nanny is great because the nanny knows other nannies and that's how play dates and makes stuff happen. Well, a good freelancer knows other freelancers. And when you need help, you pay right, you are organized and you know what they should be doing, they will bring on their friends and make it a much more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, I think you're totally right there. So tell me, how did COVID affect your business? How did this strike you?
I mean, I was on the couch for like 2 months, still trying to get out of it.
Yeah. Is it difficult being in the city there? Because, you know, we're in Florida. We feel like everything is kind of opened up here for the most part. I
don't think Florida ever closed. See, in New York, we actually like wear masks and the whole thing. I think Florida was like, well, whatever.
No, it's true. We're all at the beach, you know, we don't even know. But
yeah, outdoors, we were all stuck inside, you know, because it was all winter and we didn't know anything. We knew respiratory illness, but that's about it. So everyone just stayed home. And I think my business just stopped for about 6 months.
You know, it was really kind of amazing the way that the city transformed there in New York with everybody building all of those makeshift like eateries outside. And I feel like I don't think they're going to go back to dining indoors in New York City again because they've monopolized the street as like part of their space there. You know what I'm saying? Is
We have a new masterclass series coming out, which is going to launch, I think, next week. It is called the New York or Nowhere Masterclass series, to show that, you know, New York is open again and we are doing stuff and we are like taking the precautions we can, and that we're like back open again. So like kind of trying to make like a big announcement of it. So you guys are the first to hear. But yeah, so I think that there's a few changes that New York has adopted, and I don't think they're going away because I think that people enjoy them. They enjoy taking back the sidewalks from the cars.
They do.
The city, knowing the tax revenue they can get from each parking spot now, you know, each parking spot is worth more as a restaurant than it is as a parking spot. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible to me to see the way that transformed. And I guess you told me that you had been dining at a restaurant because during the winter time you couldn't eat inside, but they would make these tents and put heaters under everybody's table. So it was just like a really kind of cool experience to be eating outside in the snow with a heater like under your table.
Like I was at a ski lodge, you know, like I was like.
No, that's it. So do you think the industry is going to change a lot, like because of COVID, or has it changed the way you teach at all? Or do you have COVID curriculum that you
well, we have now put our first 12 classes up online. So if you want to take the FlowerSchool Introduction to Design series, the intermediate series, or the advanced design series, you can now do so online and we will ship you all of the flowers. They get a good deal because they get more flowers than the students get. It's a little bit more work for them because they have to like kind of do everything themselves, but they get the education part, which is really nice. So we have now, like, that's been a little adaptation for us. As far as the industry changing, I saw a lot of people leave the industry. And this happened as well in 2009 when the economy crashed. A lot of people who were kind of just running their business at just barely profitable, they just gave up. I said, forget it. can't do this anymore. And so a lot of people just gave up. And I think for COVID, a lot of people realized that they just can't figure out how to adapt and they can't figure it out. But I'm sort of a tried and true florist and always kind of working on it. So we just came back stronger and have a bigger space. And now we have an event space and a food program. So we came back a little stronger.
Yeah, and I think that happens. I think that there's obviously some kind of consolidation and shrinkage, and then the other companies that are left are just a little bit more busy. So I do think that there were a lot of people that kind of threw in the towel, but then more that their businesses have really blown up. Like it's been interesting to watch the different dynamics.
Yeah, it's like the same amount of business, but half as many vendors,
Yeah.
So now everyone's doing twice as much.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. So do we have any questions from the audience? That was pretty much all my questions for Cal. I know we zipped through that. Is there anything else you want to share with us, Cal?
No, I do have a cool program that's coming up, and for me, flowers are meant to be enjoyed in the moment. And I think that if you've ever been to a farm, or you've ever been to a wholesaler, or you've ever been to a yard sale and seen an amazing vase or something, you kind of I want to use that. And I think it's kind of keyed in a little bit. And so I'm doing a program with my buddy, Bruce Littlefield, which is pretty exciting. So we are going to use the skills that from our FlowerSchool book. This is our book written by myself. And as you can see, there's lots of tutorials and stuff in here on how to do stuff, which is really great. But we're also saying, okay, now let's do the sustainable route and let's reuse some of these old things that you always find at these yard sales, because sometimes you see these McCoy vases, for example. How are you going to use that vase and make it look good? And I'm telling you, these vases are not so easy to use. So I'm always saying, well, here are some of the tricks that some of the really good florists use in order to make something like that vase work. So, it's one of those things where I can see here's a couple of designers, but like, I don't know, baskets. Here's a good example. So this is my buddy, Bruce Littlefield. He wrote this book. When I was a photographer, I worked for him and I photographed this book. But you can see there's like lots of baskets and stuff. Like, how do you use baskets well? How do you use, coffee urns well? How do you use these things? So we're going to have a whole program just on reusing some of the old garage sale America stuff. So
well, and I should have mentioned your book because it's absolutely beautiful. And I'm sorry, I apologize for not mentioning it before. I often forget that you're an author as well. So you have just really
I'm like plugging all these books. You see how many books I have here?
I know. Well, I love that in the school you have everybody that is a teacher there, all of their books on display too, which I really thought was wonderful. Bravo. It's definitely a feat. We've had a few different floral authors come on, and it is so challenging to put together a book of all of your pieces, just to have the great photography of them too. And I commend you on that.
Well, people ask me about it. They say, well, how long did it take? And I was like, well, it took me 2 weeks to write the book. They're like, 2 weeks. I'm like, all I do is teach classes. This is the easy. It's like, it's not like me writing a book about meteorology or something. Like, I know in and out. I know it so well. Yes, I could write a book, and quickly.
Yeah. Well, and you have great pictures for it too. So it's always.
It's translated now. We've sold over 20,000 copies. It's translated into Russian, Spanish, Korean, and Japanese. So we have a bunch of different versions depending on how you read and write.
Wonderful. Well, I have to say, if there's anybody watching that would like to take any classes, or maybe you're onboarding a new staff member and you think they would really be suited well to take a student or take some classes there, I know Cal will take very good care of you. And also you'll have a tremendous time in the city. So I would say that that is a bonus plus point for going to
the hotel that we work with, the Selena, where you stayed. Isn't that a great hotel?
It was so boutiquey and so cute. And then there have this amazing, we kind of snuck up on there before the rooftop was really open. I have to say, shame on us, but was very special. I have to say, we had a few enjoyable nights there.
It was a rooftop pool, everyone. So
yeah, rooftop. We weren't telling anybody. No, it was a great time. I'd be happy to come back whenever, wherever, however. I will.
We'll definitely do LA. We'll do another program with you in LA. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome. We love LA too. So definitely check out his flower school. Thank you, Cal, for coming on and sharing just a bit of your life with us. And hopefully we've inspired some people to get more educated or hire some freelancers. And yeah, we'll be doing this as a replay for you guys. So look out for your inbox. And if you have any questions, please send them to either myself or Cal. So thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Thanks, guys.